In 1986, Horicon, Wisconsin was a quiet town of just a few thousand people, surrounded by calm, marshy wetlands and open fields. It was exactly the peaceful community where Alan and Deborah Tallman wanted to raise a family. They purchased a beautiful, newly built Tudor-style home on South Laramie Street. It had only been occupied for 18 months prior, with zero dark history attached to the lot. But almost immediately, the environment seemed to turn hostile. The family experienced a sudden wave of constant viral infections, severe back problems, and extreme mood swings that strangely triggered the exact moment the sun went down. The physical illnesses quickly evolved into physical impossibilities. Radios shuffled frequencies on their own, suitcases shot across bedroom floors, and one evening, a babysitter and the young son sat frozen as a heavy kitchen chair began violently rocking and bouncing up and down, completely on its own. If this had been an ancient, decaying Victorian mansion, they might have expected a ghost story, but this was new construction. The true dread was that everything on paper was perfectly normal. There was no logical target to blame for their rapid, collective breakdown. The Tallmans responded exactly how any rational homeowner would. They assumed an environmental flaw. They brought in a wave of professionals to tear the place apart, looking for gas leaks, black mold, faulty wiring, or a cracked foundation. Every single inspection came back clean. There was no physical contaminant in the house. The data suggested something more reactive than a standard repetitive haunting. The house functioned like an interactive system. This diagram illustrates a psychological feedback loop. An entity acts as a blank mirror. It extracts abstract fears from the human mind, converts them into a physical, environmental output, and feeds those terrifying manifestations right back to the occupants in an escalating cycle. The lack of a historical precedent shifts the focus away from the house's past. Instead, the central question involves the specific, deteriorating relationship between the property and the family living inside it. The first clear proof of this feedback loop started with an accident. Late one night, a visiting relative was flipping channels and inadvertently exposed the young daughter, Marianne, to a horror movie featuring a man running through a massive bonfire. The input was immediate. Marianne developed a sudden, paralyzing phobia of fires, claiming she could see open flames flickering outside her bedroom windows. That specific, highly personal fear quickly mutated and infected her older brother, Kenny. Despite having never seen the movie, he began waking up to the sight of a grotesque, haggard woman standing in his room, emitting a distinct, fiery glow. Desperate to calm the children down, Deborah tried planting a new idea. She told Marianne not to be afraid of the unseen presence, explaining that it was actually just baby Jesus acting as her personal guardian angel. The house instantly adapted to the new data. Marianne's night terrors vanished, replaced by pleasant late-night giggling fits as she held whispered conversations with her new savior. These rapid shifts show a distinct pattern. The anomaly had no fixed identity of its own. It was simply a highly responsive mechanism, perfectly mirroring whatever psychological state the children projected into the dark. Seeking outside help, the family brought in a local reverend. He performed communion, blessed the home, and instructed the Tallmans to play tapes of church hymns through the night. By framing the situation as a spiritual battle, the family provided the entity with a new, much darker set of parameters. The vague, unsettling activity rapidly escalated into aggressive, distinctly demonic attacks. Pushed to his absolute breaking point, Alan finally snapped. Standing in the middle of his living room, he screamed into the empty house, explicitly challenging whatever was there to leave his children alone and attacked him instead. The retaliation was exact. Alan began suffering violent nightmares about an incoming tornado. Within days, those dreams manifested in his waking life. He started hearing localized howling winds echoing in the garage, saw glowing red eyes peering through the windows, and was ultimately physically trapped when a low-lying, dark fog materialized out of the bedroom carpet and cornered him. The household collapsed completely. Relatives staying over spotted the same glowing red eyes. Deborah became physically paralyzed by fear in the hallway, unable to step into her children's room. Left with zero options, they grabbed the kids, bundled into the car, and completely abandoned the home in the middle of the night. By aggressively challenging the anomaly, Alan inadvertently handed the entity the exact confrontational energy it needed. He gave it the power to finally drive them out. Once the story leaked, a massive media frenzy descended on Horicon. Wild rumors spread about hellgates and bleeding walls. Yet, despite being offered lucrative book and film deals, the Tallmans refused every single one of them. They chose instead to sell their dream home back to the administration at a massive financial loss. Their only public action was a highly anonymous appearance on a television show, done strictly to correct the public record and kill the rumors. But the ultimate twist happened shortly after the paperwork was signed. A new family moved into the property on South Laramie Street, and they experienced absolutely no paranormal activity. The house itself was never inherently dangerous. It was an empty vessel that sat dormant, requiring the specific psychological presence and collective stress of the Tallman family to activate. This leaves investigators with a clear dividing line. We have to determine whether this was a catastrophic internal psychological glitch or an external paranormal force. This diagram shows a psychological condition known as folie à famille, or shared psychosis. When a family is subjected to high stress, physical illness, and sleep deprivation in close quarters, suggestion becomes highly contagious. A single fear from one member can trigger a closed loop, causing the entire group to collectively hallucinate the exact same escalating terrors. On the supernatural side is the concept of a tulpa, or poltergeist. This theory posits an actual external energetic anomaly that has no shape of its own. It acts as a parasite, using the human mind as a blueprint to literally build a physical form out of raw fear. Whether the events in Horicon were caused by a genuine supernatural entity or a highly contagious shared delusion, the ultimate truth remains identical. The most terrifying monsters are the ones built from the blueprints of our own minds.